Okay, I'd like to call the City of St. Louis Workforce Development Board meeting to order. Mr. Bell, if you can do the roll call.
William, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Are you okay? Can you hear me, William?
We cannot hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
He says the host has him muted.
Right.
There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I was like, there's no way of saying it. I just had to text it out. All right. We're going to start the roll call for the March 24th meeting, or board meeting. So we have Eileen Caffey, Lydia Padilla, Dory Harris.
Dory's here.
Okay.
Dory, where are you?
I'm
Okay.
here. Here.
Yeah.
Good.
Lakeisha Mathis. Mary Lame.
Present.
Yeah. Justin Bennett. Charlotte Hammond.
Here.
Kendra Holmes. Danita Neal.
Present.
Roger Spearman.
Present.
Justin Raymundo.
Present.
Lucinell Haberberger. Suzanne Ajin. William Bell, present. Jose Argon.
Here.
Sherry Tillis.
Present.
Michael Newton.
Present. Good morning, all.
Good morning. Regina Greer. Allison Dino.
He's here. Let me see. Allison?
Oh,
Allison?
Present.
yeah, there we go. Julie Fickus.
Present.
Kevan Garame.
He's absent today.
Okay. Jerry Bowles.
Present.
Kimberly Chaplin.
Here.
And Michelle Graham.
Here.
All right, we have a total of 15, so we do have a quorum.
Okay, excellent. Just before we get started, just to remind the board that if you have a conflict of interest on any topics that we're potentially voting on, that you declare your conflict and your name and position on the board, as well as the nature of the conflict and who will gain or lose as a result of the conflict. So just a reminder. The first part of the agenda is the board member spotlight, which is Charlotte Hammond, which is me, board chair, CEO of Challenge Unlimited. I did participate in a St. Louis Business Journal for their annual workforce development guide. So that was, I would just have to say that Slate should always be a part of the workforce development guide. And so I was just kind of really looking back at some of the previous kind of articles, and where I didn't see those interviews or an interview from Slate, maybe we paid for some article or something like that, or advertisement. So just want to make sure that we're always a part of the workforce development guide annually in the Business Journal, because we are an integral part of the region. And so, so it's was kind of dual. It was part of challenge and part of slate. It's just how, as far as the questions and things like that. I think, is that Jose? Somebody raised their hand.
Sorry, hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, so I look forward. I think it should come out in a couple of weeks. So we'll make sure we send it out to the board when it's published. The next agenda item is the staff spotlight, which is Valerie Wiggins, who is the executive secretary for the city of St. Louis. Are you here, Valerie?
I am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am Valerie. I have been here now. Oh, it's been a month. It was a month yesterday. Didn't realize that. I come from a background of law and HR, and I am very excited to participate in this undertaking. From what I've observed in the month that I've been here, Slate is an amazing place with people who are really invested in the well-being of workforce in St. Louis. Everybody in the office works diligently to make sure that our goals are met, to make sure that the people are served well. And that's exciting to work in a space where everybody is pulling toward the same goal.
Very nice. Any questions for Valerie? All right, welcome, Valerie. Glad to have you. The next is that we have a presentation from Tim Dunville, local equal opportunity officer for the city of St. Louis.
Actually, Miss Charlotte,
Mhm.
Tim is not able to make it, but we
Oh.
have his supervisor, Miss Danielle Smith,
Okay.
who is, I don't have Danielle's title, but she's Tim's boss, and she's over the
Okay.
EO office for OWD. So I saw Miss Danielle earlier. All right, she's still on the call.
I'm here.
Okay, Miss Danielle, will you give your proper title for the purpose
Yes.
of our board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Happy Tuesday. I am Danielle Smith, and I am the State Equal Opportunity Officer for the state of Missouri. I do have some slides, so I can go briefly through the requirements for Slate as far as equal opportunity. Tim could not be here today because he is doing a rapid response. We are having to do dual roles, but I don't have access to share my screen, but I can just talk briefly about
If you put the slides in chat, you can send them to, I don't know, if Steflana or Asia, and then they would be able to share.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm able to do that right now, but I can just go briefly through what EO is and under WIOA. So I won't waste you guys' time this morning. And so with the WIOA dollars, Title I funds comes regulations regarding non-discrimination and equal opportunity. And we refer to that as Section 188. And so there are some requirements that we have to follow that are a little different from the program side of the house, which is ran by employment and training. And so the EO side of the house is ran by the Civil Rights Center under the Department of Labor. And so they're separate houses. And so we have to report directly to the Civil Rights Center. So there's state EO officers for each state, and there's local EO officers that represent the local boards. And so last year we made a change where the local EO officer is now a state staff due to the funding issues, the budget cuts. And so what we do, we process discrimination complaints, we investigate the program services and activities, and we also monitor the employment practices of the board, the service providers, along with the eligible training providers that are on the local board's eligible training providers list. Some other things that we do, we assure that the boards have policies and procedures like reasonable accommodation policies. They have a policy regarding the complaint procedures. They have a policy regarding notices and communications, because there are certain requirements that that the Civil Rights Center requires that is under the regulations regarding like the notices and communications, which include making sure like the EO poster is up, that an orientation is provided to new employees, to our customers, and just the general public about their rights to file a discrimination complaint under the WIO program. There's also requirements as far as the language access, which means basically ensuring that our customers that are limited English proficient have access to our services, but if they need material in their preferred language, that they are able to access that information for free. There are data requirements, so we have to collect certain data on our participants, on our applicants of employment, and on our employees, so that we can conduct an analysis on like the employment practices, and then an analysis on our participants and the programs, to make sure that our programs are not discriminating against any group of people. And we also have to ensure that the organizations that receive WIO funds are not discriminating in their employment practices. So every year, we have to provide reports to the Civil Rights Center that that the state is monitoring the local boards, and the local boards are monitoring their recipients. And so every year, a program data analysis report is due, along with an employment data analysis on the practices of the organizations that are operating the program services and activities. Those are due, and we collect those from the board, and we have to submit those reports to the Civil Rights Center. We also collect complaint logs quarterly to ensure that there's no trend of complaints occurring in the service area. So every quarter, we have 3 different complaint logs. One is for discrimination complaint. The other ones are for just complaints and grievances. And then we have a complaint log for employment services, which are basically complaints that we don't have jurisdiction over, but we have referred them to a different entity like the EEOC or the Missouri Commission on Human Rights. Or it could be that we've referred a customer to OSHA because we don't have jurisdiction to investigate that particular complaint. So we have to collect those logs quarterly and make those available to the Civil Rights Center upon request. So some other things that we are required to do is enforce the regulations with our monitoring requirements. And so that could be if a monitoring review or discrimination complaint has been filed, or if it's both, we have to enforce our policy and procedures and ensure that we have corrective actions and sanctions to make sure that those violations are corrected. And so if we don't receive, our reports or monitoring reports, or if we have a discrimination complaint that we cannot remedy or have voluntary compliance, then we have to write those up and show that the state is enforcing the regulations and the policies and procedures that we have set in place. So that's pretty much the overview of what we do. I will take any questions at this time.
And Ms. Smith, thank you. Thank you for that report. Just a quick question. Are there any common complaints that you've seen from this area that could be that would be beneficial for the board to know?
At this time, we don't have any complaints, any discrimination complaints or any program complaints with the Slate region. So
Good.
We haven't received any. So
That's good. Any questions for Ms. Smith? Well, thank you for that informative report. I was not aware of all that. Anything, Connie, you want to say?
Just mainly, Danielle, just wanting to get just more kind of clarification on roles and responsibilities. The role of EO officer has now switched to Tim. And just so that we're clear, on what part of the compliance we're expected to report to him so that he does his role. We're just trying to make sure that we have a clear understanding of our roles and responsibilities from the board's perspective in order to be compliant with EO. And that's kind of the biggest thing because Shannon was the previous EO and before him was Ray. So it's a transition in that the role is now transferring over to the state. So we just, if there's a checklist or if this is still fluid and a work in process, we understand, but that's really what we wanted to get from the executive level was an understanding of how this transition was going to look.
So right now, from this transition, Tim is responsible for monitoring for Slate. So where before Shannon would have been monitoring like the eligible training providers that are on your list. Tim is responsible for monitoring the schools. He's responsible for monitoring the programs and services and activities that are offered through the Job Center. And he's also responsible for conducting, for monitoring the employment data analysis. Now, with the employment data analysis, that's a little different because since we are the state, we're not going to go into the city of St. Louis and get that information. We expect for the board to provide their employment practices to Tim so that he can analyze it from there. But as far as anything else, all the responsibilities that Shannon was doing is now the responsibility of Tim. So he's doing all of the monitoring for the Slate region.
Okay. With regard to the training, the Trending Tuesday training, I just wanted the clarification on who is to attend that. Is it just staff for the board? Is it the board or is it the entire agency?
It's the entire board staff and the Job Center staff. That's what it's geared towards.
Okay, so the board doesn't have to take the training, the Trending
Not the board
Tuesday.
members. No.
Okay,
Not the
just
board
the
members,
staff.
just the
Okay.
board staff. Yes.
Okay, all right, and we'll be following up because there are people, some people have the Coursera account, others don't. And so we were just wondering how that looks in terms of tracking. So we'll make sure that the word gets out for staff to participate in those trainings and or listen to the recordings.
Okay. That would be great.
Excuse me, I would just mention that you guys can get a Coursera license.
vlsreferral@do.mo.gov. For anyone that doesn't have access to Coursera, I'll type that in the chat window as well. So anybody that works for the board can get access to that training.
That'd be appreciated. Yeah, we got an email from, is it Mark Embry? I think
Mark
he
Embry.
said, yeah, so that would be helpful too. I think we have a few people that don't have that account.
And this is something new as well because our local EO officers are all new. And so we're taking on the monthly training requirement at the state level.
All right, well, we appreciate you coming and making the presentation. If you do want to send those slides, we'd appreciate it. It'd be good for us to have. And
I will.
yes, okay. And we'll be following up on getting the access to the Coursera. So thanks for participating. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thank you, Jerry, for providing. Hopefully, you'll drop that in the chat for the team. Next, we'll have. I need to have a motion to approve the January 27th St. Louis Workforce Development Board minutes. So if I can have a motion for that.
Mike Newton, a motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Michelle Graham, second.
Okay, so moved. If you could go to the next slide, Svetlana.
I think we need to vote on it.
Which one? On what? Oh,
So you
I'm
had a
sorry.
motion.
I'm sorry. I'm
Vote on
at
it.
second. Yeah, all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Justin. Keep me honest. I asked Justin, I sent him a private message. Just please keep me honest. We do not have any consent agenda items, so and I'm not exactly sure, so just kind of guide me on this, Svetlana. We do have a number of committee meeting kind of summary report. Is that just kind of approved? Do we read it? Do we allow maybe each committee to at least give a summary and just kind of talk through?
Well, usually the consent agenda runs like this. Everything that's under here, the summary committee meetings and labor force statistics and everything else in this section, usually for information purposes only.
Okay.
And usually we look through those items, and if there is any questions and discussion that needs to happen, that's the time to do it. But then at the end of the session, usually we just vote to accept the whole consent agenda, you know. I can scroll down everything that's on this section. So we have committee meetings. And maybe, you know, there are some highlights here as well. I don't know if Connie would like to highlight certain things because there were some exciting things that happened during those committees.
Yeah, I think that would be important. Just reading through those earlier, I think there are some things that should be pulled out for the board, just to notify them on those committee meetings.
So I will yield to the chair of that committee if they would like to actually make that report. Justin, I don't think he's on.
Yeah, Justin Bennett is not present.
Oh,
okay. So he's not here, but the WISP committee met on the 12th, and the highlight of that meeting mainly there were a couple things. We had a performance update from EDSI about measurable skill gains and youth performance, not having any real worries or the only thing we're talking about the wage issue. And it's just really hard sometimes to get these kids, the youth, I should say. Sometimes they want to work and sometimes they don't. And when they don't want to work, it affects our numbers from that standpoint. But our youth team does a dynamic and a great job in running the department. I'd say the biggest highlight is about, as you all know, we're going through recertification. and recertification has many moving parts. And as part of the recertification, as we were preparing, we realized that 4 contracts for our eligible training providers had expired in June of 2025. And so the committee met, and basically what we know that we need to do is we have to extend these contracts until the end of this performance year, because at the end of we're going to be renewing everybody's contract starting for July 1, obviously. But for recertification, we need to go ahead and extend the contracts for 3 of the 4 providers. One was Savvy Coders, one was Deruby. Launch Code was decided that it was not recommended from the committee. There seems to be some challenges in terms of actually getting people employed after finishing the certification at Launch Code. And then there's one additional provider. Somebody help me out here. There's a lot of people in our hallway right now. But we need to extend those contracts until June 30. So the committee agreed to extend them because at least in one of the providers, we have a program participant. So we need to make sure that we're compliant and just extending that contract.
Hey, Connie and Justin, this may be a question for you. I mean, I find it really difficult to believe that that people, after finishing kind of a launch code certification or training or anything technology driven, that folks are not able to find employment. Is something happening in that space that we just don't understand? And I know you're kind of in that space, Justin.
Yeah, Connie, do you mind if I jump in?
Please, Justin.
Yeah, and I think others across the board, you might be seeing this as well, but we're seeing, particularly as it relates to tech jobs, that there has been sort of constraints on those opportunities over the past several years. I think 2 things happen when that happens. One is offshoring, potentially some of those jobs moving to other places, either offshoring in the sense of like leaving the US or just leaving the region itself. That's something that we've talked to closely with TechSTL, sort of an organization thinking about technology jobs across the region. So we've heard from folks that do sort of straight up programming tech training that is a constraint. So that I think then affects your ability to place folks on the back end after they go through that training.
Okay. And this could be another just topic, Connie, for the executive committee, just some thoughts that I have around that. But thanks, Justin, for that insight. I do hear that. And I'm hoping like America First and, under this administration, maybe some things may change. I don't know that, but I don't know. So go ahead, Connie. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then, okay, thanks, Justin, for that. And Justin, when you check your chat, the finance committee met, and I think the biggest things there are 2 things. As you all know, there was an effort last year by the board to initiate to start fundraising for the board, but we didn't have all the infrastructure in place. Now that the policy for banking and also fundraising for the board has been approved, it's time for the next steps. In the fall, Miss Charlotte had done some research on banks that she thought would maybe be better suited. I think it was presented to the committee, and it was decided that it was going to be a credit union, and that we were going to discontinue the account that was previously opened by Freddie at Bank of America. But since then, we don't. There was a question about whether or not the account had actually been opened. And then the second issue from finance perspective is that we think, there needs to be an ad hoc fundraising committee, probably to kind of monitor and keep track of things. As an agency, we can't get out front and fundraise or do any of that, but we can obviously support the board. So we thought it'd probably be best in talking to the attorneys to recommend that the board create a fundraising committee, and then be able to kind of implement the two policies that the board voted upon. So, and I guess the last but not least is that this committee needs a chair. And so it was decided to defer it until the next meeting, but probably to move any of these items forward, this committee needs an official chair. On down to the executive committee. I think the biggest thing right now for us here, from a business services point, the city has implemented a program called Oracle through the Comptroller's Office, in which all contracts have to go through this system. The issue is that the system is not one size fits all. And at Slate, we are different than other city departments. And so we have been experiencing some significant challenges and delays with this new system. We are meeting bi-weekly with the comptroller to try to move some things forward. But it appears that the paper process that they're used to and accustomed to has not quite married the new system and vice versa. So what we find with some of our contracts, say, for example, if we have a contract that simply has an extension of time, nothing else, we're just extending the time, it still goes through 12 layers of approval and ends up in federal grants. And that appears to be our kryptonite because it sits in federal grants. And so we've been kind of fighting that fight a little bit. We are working professionally and very hard, trying to keep the lines of communication open, and also letting them know that, you know, sometimes the best laid plans, it just doesn't work. So what's on paper and what was the intent is actually, it's not connecting, and it's having sometimes a challenging impact on our ability to get our contracts through, as well as to open up our accounts, which then has a domino effect in how we draw down money, and then we get in a crunch to spend money before end of program year. So we have really been engaged in battle, but I think we're making some progress. And that's all I would just like to highlight with those 3 committee meetings.
Okay, thank you, Connie. I just want to just kind of reiterate what Connie mentioned in the Finance Committee, that we do need a chair of that committee. So if you have an ounce of any kind of financial background, I mean, you balance your own checkbook. I mean, this is not anything complicated. We just really need to have someone from the board to chair that committee. So I might be reaching out to you. So I've asked Connie to give me a couple of names. So don't be surprised when you maybe receive a call from me. So anyway, so I'd like to think, if I understand this, for Svetlana to have a motion to approve the committee meeting minutes. If I can have a motion for that.
Well, we don't necessarily need to approve them at this point. We can look at the whole section and then approve the whole section.
The whole section. Okay.
Yeah, the consent. This committee meetings is part of the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Okay. So Connie, will you review the St. Louis City labor force statistics, or is just for informational? People can review it, and we'll move on to performance reports FY 2503.
It's just for informational. If anybody
Okay.
has questions, we do have Pete on the call as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything on the performance report?
I will yield to Cassandra.
Okay. Cassandra, are you here?
She's here.
I can speak to this, Connie.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Yeah, Cassandra's in her office.
No
and
problem.
We're kinda talking across offices.
At this point in the year, we are meeting or exceeding the state benchmark in every category except for one. The one that we're not meeting yet is youth skills gains. That's normal for this time of year. Once the students start graduating high school, we'll get those up. So this is the best this report's ever looked this time of year since I've been here. Our goal is to have the whole thing in green by the end of the year. So right now it looks good to me.
What does measurable skill gains, which are currently at 41%, like what are you measuring? I'm not sure what that means.
So certain participants are put in a category where they have to get a skills gain or a credential. So like, for example, the kids that are in high school, when they receive their diploma, that counts as a skills gain and a credential. So as the high school wraps up, that number will shoot up. The skills gains, it's a number we meet every year, so we're not that concerned about that one. The median earnings in youth is the one that has been our biggest struggle, and we are at 118% of that achieved. So we're fully intend to get skills gains in the green, and we hope to get those yellows in the green too.
Okay, any questions for Pete?
I just love not seeing a lot of red. This looks great, Pete.
Thanks. We like it too.
That's great. Equal opportunity compliance report update. Any questions on that or anything that you'd like to pull out, Connie?
I'm going to turn it over to Shannon.
Okay.
Good deal. All right. So good morning, everybody. So for Slate, we received EO compliance reports with findings that required us to do updates on the website as well as our signature blocks to reflect the EO officer, Tim Dunville. So from the findings, we have gotten all of those updated and gotten Tim to reflect that. And then going into also the further findings, we had findings of PY 2023 data analysis report needed to be submitted, as well as the EO report needed to be submitted. Both have been submitted. And as far as it goes with the reports for the PY 2023, we provided a comprehensive assessment for the service delivery as well as employment outcomes for the various workforce programs for Slate, including adult, youth, dislocated workers, as well as Wagner Pizer. And so in the adult programs, it demonstrated very good performance, maintaining consistent employment rate, approximately sitting around about 86% for both the second and the fourth quarter for the assessment period. The Wagner Pizer program did pretty well as with the largest participant base with over 3,000 individuals in quarter two, achieving a 75% employment rate. And the youth program, we saw significant outcomes of improvement as well, rising from about 67% in quarter two to over about 77% by quarter four. And with the analysis of the 80% rule and the adverse impact, it showed that many of the demographics that we categorized that got the best performance, which is a great thing. And some services in the categories from specific groups kind of fell below the threshold, indicating some areas where we have potential improvement areas for equitable service distribution. And then overall, the data reflects that workforce development systems successfully maintain our high employment outcomes while monitoring for demographics across the diverse services and stuff are doing pretty well. So we've got those submitted in, and yeah, right now the numbers are looking good. And as you can see on the screen, those are pretty much the reporting schedule for the complaint logs to be due, the employment data analysis, as well as the program data analysis report.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks, Shannon, for that very detailed report. And we will have those dates on the calendar that we'll be providing to the board. And you just heard Miss Danielle refer to, we're doing the smooth handoff. So we'll provide the information, but the state will be the one moving forward. And I just would like to assure this body that here at Slate, we're going above and beyond, and we really are taking we're on the forefront of making sure that all people, even those with limited English proficiency, have information and access about our programs and services. We have been working very closely with the Mayor's Office of New Americans. We make the effort and we have incorporated as part of our practices to make sure our materials for our job events and other trainings are in Spanish. And we will soon be transitioning our website. We will have our website not only in English, but it will be in Spanish as well. We're experiencing an uptick in Spanish-speaking individuals coming to the job center, but we also have other nationalities. So it's important to us, and hopefully, if we're able to get all our I's dotted and T's crossed, we anticipate being able to offer ESL here on site
Oh,
through a
good.
partnership in conjunction with St. Louis Community College. But that is still a work in process.
That's awesome.
But Shannon, thank you for stepping up and providing the leadership that you have provided as being an EO officer. Much appreciated. And I'm sure the state will still be leaning on you. So you haven't let it go 100%. Sorry, this is the sending the mayor's call to voicemail. Sorry. I'm in a meeting. Sorry.
Hey, Connie, Jerry dropped in the chat that don't forget we have a language line available.
Oh, yeah.
Information should be at front desk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Miss Jerry,
Okay.
we use Language Link. Every now and again, though, and I don't know, and we have brought this to the attention of OWD, it doesn't work. And we've had episodes recently where we've had Spanish-speaking clients here in the front. Language Link didn't work, but thank God we have 5 employees here on site that are fluent in Spanish.
Oh, good.
So
So I would have mentioned that we do have to be very careful with using staff members as translators.
Yes.
If you run into that issue, Danielle Smith is the person to contact with language line issues.
Okay.
She's our point of contact with the language line group.
Okay.
So let her know as soon as possible when you're experiencing difficulties. But using staff to translate who are not licensed translators
Yeah.
could lead to a person saying they were given inaccurate information. So just be careful with that.
Well, fortunately for us, the individual who came did not require our services. They were looking for legal services. So they were in the wrong location. But yes, we are mindful of that. We've been advised not to, that's why Language Link is in place. But what happens, Miss Jerry, is that somebody walks through the door, we go over to the phone, we try once, we try twice, we try 3 times. In the meantime, you got someone who's in your office who is already in distress and they got a problem. And so what we try to do is address that, try to triage that. And we were able to triage that the individual who came needed legal services, and we were able to provide him and his family with the address and information for legal services in Eastern Missouri.
That's wonderful. I also wanted to mention that if you need an American Sign Language interpreter, it does take a while to get one of those set up. I know we've had to do that for some RESEA appointments in the past. So just know that if you need American Sign Language, it does take a while to get that set up. And please, please, please report to Danielle any troubles with the language line, because that's a service that we pay for, the state of Missouri pays for. And if they can't provide the services that we need, then we may have to look at another vendor. So
Yes, ma'am. I will definitely, it's good to know because we were just told it was Division of Administration. I'm like, okay, who do we report? But we've been having some issues. So that's
yeah.
good to know. We'll definitely start reporting those incidents to Danielle.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear about the ASL. And Connie, just briefly touch on the one-stop recertification. I really didn't understand that, so it was really informative to me how important and critical this one-stop recertification is. So if you can just touch on that real quick.
One-stop recertification is a huge undertaking that workforce boards experience, and we are going through that experience right now. It is a multifaceted, multi-step process with a number of deadlines. We have created our plan for one-stop certification, and right now it looks like we are on point. There are lots of moving parts. Obviously, with this, we work very closely with our one-stop operator, Ms. Rebecca. I'm not sure if Ms. Rebecca is on the call, but I do know that we have see, I'm looking now. We have a meeting coming up, but here are all the dates. And this is part of the, I would basically describe one-stop recertification as the process in making sure that all of our I's are dotted and all of our T's are crossed. And make sure all of our MOUs, our IFAs, our partnerships, that everything is aligned and in order in accordance with WIOA.
I'm
Okay.
here if you have
Um,
any.
Okay, all right, Rebecca, if you want to go ahead and kind of highlight, give a little overview based on this chart. I appreciate
Sure,
it.
you did a great job. Thanks, Connie. So yeah, so we do have a timeline. Our actual certification review day is scheduled for April 17th. That is a Friday. And the review team consists of members of our board, our chair of our board, and Ms. Jerry Bowles from the state. So thank you all for agreeing to volunteer your time and participate in the review this time around. Also, the interviewees are members of frontline staff and myself. And what the review team does is there's an application. There's about 38 questions, and it basically is measuring the effectiveness and the efficiency of the system, the workforce system in our region. And as Ms. Connie mentioned, making sure that we're in alignment with our WIOA requirements and the Federal Code of Regulations of everything, of all the services and the partnerships that are supposed to exist under the WIOA law. So I've done this twice now. This is my third time around. Each time the responses get more streamlined. So I'm looking forward to having a really great outcome this time around for our certification.
All right. That's it. I guess that kind of wraps up.
So
But-
now it's time to actually have a motion to approve kind of the consent agenda, which includes all of these other things that we just kind of briefly spoke about.
Yes,
Is that right, Svetlana?
let's do that. I'm not now, I will have to double check with our lawyers. Do we really need to vote on this? But let's just go ahead and do it, just for the sake of it. We'll have a
Okay.
record.
Okay. Just a motion to approve. I consider this kind of all the things on our consent agenda, even though we had a brief discussion about it.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Julie
May I have a
Pickett,
second?
second.
Julie, second?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, I think I'm turning it over to you, Connie, for the rest of the agenda.
Okay. So we had discussed during the consent agenda about the eligible training provider contracts. The WISP committee recommending renewal of the contracts for Derubi, MTC, and Savvy Coders. The committee did not approve the renewal of Launch Code. And so basically this is where we need to extend their contract until June 30. And that's it. So we need the full body to approve the extension of the contract so we could start jumping through the incredible hoops of this new system for the city.
Okay. So a motion to approve the contracts that you just mentioned. Is that right?
Can I ask
Connie?
a question
Sure.
first?
Sure.
So, because this is helpful information from earlier in the discussion. So I'm seeing, Connie, that launch code is not sort of eligible or is not approved through the state of Missouri. So they're not an eligible training provider from the state.
That's what we found out.
Okay.
And I just want to confirm, Pete, yes, that Launch Code does not currently operate a WIOA funding program. And now I'm seeing that note from Kimberly that Launch Code is also not listed on the state's eligible training provider.
Yeah.
Well, no, we were talking about Launch Code. So yes,
Yeah.
Launch Code is not. So they were, at one point they were, but even notwithstanding their status of being a WIO training, a WIO program, the issue was that people would go through that, receive a certificate or some type of certification, but it would not materialize into any meaningful or gainful employment. And so, yes. So,
And Connie, just to be clear, just to follow up on Justin, if any of our approved sites, if their outcomes are not gainful employment, then they're potentially ineligible to participate as kind of partners in as providers of training and things like that if it doesn't materialize into a job. Is that one of the conditions?
I don't see, I can't say that that is a condition, but I can say that we don't want to pay for training,
Okay.
for someone to go through a training program and get a certificate and a piece of paper is useless. And if it doesn't
Okay.
help them gain employment, then we've wasted funding for training,
Okay.
and then
I
the
see.
person is still in the same place that they were before training. But I see Cassandra's hand is up. I will yield to Miss Cassandra.
Okay.
Having problems maneuvering. Good morning. Yes, that is one of the factors. If we are putting several people through a training provider and not yielding any successful outcomes in regard to them being able to utilize the training to gain employment, but we also look at the success rate of the participants that are going through the training. Is it a training that we are seeing a lot of persons that start and then they don't complete for various reasons?
Okay.
And in the, as Danielle mentioned, in the review and looking at training providers and visiting and seeing how the training going and is it effective and impactful for our region. So
Okay.
even with the state, them being a WIOA approved training provider with the state, we individually assess to see how they're performing in our region. And then we actually have to submit a statement to the state, because at that point we're removing St. Louis region from the state site to say that we will not be using that training
Okay.
provider, and this is the reasons why.
And last question, and Connie, and maybe it's you, Cassandra, based on kind of future jobs where, kind of where do we see the city of St. Louis and the needs of our employment? Does that help to dictate kind of training providers that we should be reaching out to so that we have people that are relevant? So to Justin's point, things are shifting, especially in the technology space. So do we start to kind of assess where should we really place our training dollars so that we can get better paying jobs and all those kind of things? So maybe that's a question to you, Cassandra.
So yes, part of the being a training provider is there is a portion on the eligible training provider site for the state where they are supposed to list their performance measures. Oftentimes those are not stated on there, but they're supposed to give those. And inclusive of that, as part of our agreement, we do ask where do their participants land once they complete their training, like what is their connection with employers? What employers do they utilize in partnership with their training? So that is part of our just regional agreement with training providers to say, hey, who you're connected with, where do you your participants who complete your project usually land, and then what do they have in place to assist the participants to gain employment once they complete their project or training.
Okay. Any questions for Cassandra or Connie?
Just one more technical question on the launch code training. So I see that the program offered is a registered apprenticeship program. Is that a formal, like, registered apprenticeship program, like a Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program? Because then I think in my mind, as I see that, that would mean that there is an employer sponsor on the other side of the that's part of the program by design of an apprenticeship. So I guess I'm
Mhm.
interested in hearing then, are folks going through thinking they're in I guess I'm just confused then why it's called an apprenticeship program, or if that conversation came up with the committee.
Oh, you're on mute, Connie.
That was not discussed during the committee, but we can ask Dana. I don't think Dana's on the call. Pete, Pete, do you have any information on that apprenticeship piece? But
I do not. I just know that Dana and her team stopped sending people there because they weren't finding employment after they completed it.
Interesting.
okay, we can find out a little bit more for you though. I'll ask Dana, Justin, and she might have better context because she's over the adult program, and then we can send you an email.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's just like technically apprenticeships are sponsored by employers. So then to say that they're struggling finding employment, I'd be interested to hear why, or if they're just using the term apprenticeship. But if it is registered, then I'm sort of wanted to see how the standards are working. And
Yeah.
Because I know that they switched completely to like an online. They don't even use the building that's on Delmar. The NAACP is the only tenant in that huge building. So I don't know if some of that was pandemic related, but how that impacted their programming, I'm not sure. But it's kind of odd that everything is now just online.
Well, I would also say if they're a registered apprenticeship with USDOL, they would be on our ETPL list, and they are not on our ETPL list. So I am thinking that you guys have made the right choice with this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So Connie, just to be clear, do we need a motion to approve that?
Need a motion to approve the extension of the eligible training provider contracts for the DeRuby School, MTC, and Savvy Coders.
So what Connie just said, I need a motion to approve that.
So moved. Justin, I'm moving. Motion.
May I have a second?
Second, Mike Newton.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We need to
Abstentions, I forget that.
abstain.
I say any abstentions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Julie
yeah.
Fickus.
Yes, thanks, Julie. Okay, Connie.
Okay, down to the next one. I think that this one probably needs to, well, I guess we can, you can entertain a motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc fundraising committee, but you don't have a chair. So I don't know if that's going to be the cart before the horse, or if you guys want to move forward with, we don't need the mayor's approval because this is not a standing committee. This is ad hoc. So it's something that the board could thumbs up or down. But I guess the question is whether or not you wanted to wait till you got a committee chair to move forward on this item, or if the body wanted to further discuss or move forward with creating the committee and then telling the chair that they got a committee. That's part of there.
I'm okay to move forward with creating the committee, and then we can kind of develop members or a chair, find a chair at some point. Just because our meetings are 2 months apart, so I would just hate to put it on hold for another 2 months. So any discussion before I ask for a motion or concerns? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the establishment of a ad hoc fundraising committee?
Mike Newton, motion to approve.
William Bell, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. All right, Connie.
Okay, we got a number of upcoming events. I'm gonna yield to Shannon, who's over our business services, to give us a rundown on this item.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as you can see, this week we are jam-packed and we are fun-filled. So we are having our spring career expo here at Slate from 9 to noon on the first floor in the conference room. And as far as it goes, it's gonna be like all the ones that we do. We do our best to do it bigger and do it better every time. So we have our home one going on the 25th, and then the 26th of this month we are having a very packed day because that morning is opening day down at Ballpark Village. So we will be tabling at Ballpark Village down at Ballpark Village to celebrate opening day, and myself and Miss Connie will be there early in the morning to do live broadcast for Channel 2 to discuss what works we have going on here at Slate, all the different programs, all the different great things, the initiatives that we're doing, and some of the partnerships that we have going on. So we're super excited about that. And then for the second half of that same day, we are in partnership with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we are doing a job fair with them. So that is going to be out in Sunset Hills off of Lindbergh. And that right there is going to be a full day as well. In April, we are having our graduating high school seniors event in partnership with SLPS as well as some of the other graduating high schools to really get them ramped up and prepared for work as they are graduating. Even if they are going off to college, we want to make sure that they go away with some money in their pocket, but also keep them busy. So that is going to be a great event as well. The last couple of years that we have done it, we have had a nice turnout, and it was really fulfilling because some of the employers are willing to have conversations on site, and their way they can kind of create that pipeline to get individuals prepared. And so we're working on actually a partnership as well for Pulpit to Porches in partnership with Urban League as well. So there'll be more details coming out. But as you can see, the calendar is up there. I would say the only one right now that we are swiping off would be that May 13th, as well as the June 5th date. So we'll have some more information as to what we'll be filling into those spots, but everything else stands as it goes right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Just a quick question, Shannon, and this is just something that I just noticed just being a part of Greater St. Louis, that we have a number of kind of manufacturing, new businesses coming into the region. And I'm just curious, Shannon, because I just don't hear Slate's name mentioned when I'm sitting in these uh, meetings that employers know to come to Slate. So I love the fact the more media attention, the more that we're in the paper with positive things that we start, Connie, and I know that's something that you want to see, that we have more visibility in the community. So I love that you're doing that. But I just wonder, do you get any kind of notification, Shannon, when new businesses are coming in and that we make Slate known that we're here, and how can we support, because they're all ramping up employment. They all need bodies. So I'm
Yes.
just wondering, Shannon.
So in partnership with the business services team that I have oversight over, they are always checking out for new companies that are coming in. And then we are, normally checking the temperature for what new companies are coming in. And then also I sit on the business retention and expansion committee with the St. Louis partnership. And so we actually sit down and have discussions with new businesses that are here, already established businesses. And as far as it goes for us, we are the representatives for workforce. So we're always at the table for it to be able to have those conversations with the new as well as more seasoned organizations that are in St. Louis. And then we are able to advocate for other organizations to come to St. Louis. So those are some of the grassroots things that we are doing to bring attention to what it is that we have to offer out here.
Okay. All right.
And I
Thank
might
you.
add, that's one of the reasons we have joined these chambers. We are now active members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Heartland Area Chamber of Commerce, which is the African American Chamber, and now the African Chamber of Commerce. So we have memberships with those three, and also the Missouri Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So through those 4 memberships, we are starting to network. Shannon has been true. He's been at the Hispanic Chamber. They are really, really, really doing a lot of great things. And I think Shannon having too much fun going to those meetings. So I think I'm gonna go to the next one. But
Come on.
they
Actually, they got something going on right now.
I know. Yeah, they really are very much engaged. And so that's exciting. But the other thing, we are for some members you may know, but years ago there was an ordinance that was passed in conjunction with WBE MBE participation, and as part of that ordinance, a program called First Source was created. And through that, companies, large companies who receive tax credits and incentives from the city of St. Louis, as part of their contract, there is a provision in their contract that requires them to work with Slate to when it's time to, once the bricks and mortar are done and you need the people in their contract for with SLDC, it directs them to us. Now, we have not really, as a city, had any big projects. The last one was probably the Foundry, and before that, Ballpark Village. Right now, we are trying to get our sea legs because this is something where the late Miss Fowler was working it on her side from SLDC. And in my first meeting with her, she said, Connie, I have some duties that I've been doing that need to go back to Slate, and this was one of them. So we've been in discussions. We were in discussions before her passing, and I had started researching, and with the media attention on WBE MBE programs, had talked with Otis Williams, who is the acting director, and he said, Connie, First Source is going to stay. So with that, we have taken the reins back in terms of our compliance piece, but we're kind of on hold in that we know the legislation regarding WBE MBE may be modified, but we've been told that that First Source piece will remain. And as fate would have it, I'm really trying to hold my peace, but I have to go ahead and say that we have a nomination that is pending for a new board member, an individual who will be representing SLDC is being nominated, and that person is, drum roll please, Mr. Howard Hayes. He's in my office, and he is in that department that Shannon talked about. And so I have been, oh boy, I don't know what happened to my monitor. I've been talking to him because he couldn't get the link throughout the meeting. But his nomination will be going forward to take the position that was previously held by the late Miss Fowler. So it'll be good to, as he's sitting here listening, he's like, yeah, Connie, I went through recertification. I remember those days. Having that another historical perspective and knowledge is going to be great. So he's familiar with First Source as well. We have been talking about, we've been engaging Ballpark Village, but so much has changed since Ballpark Village was originally going. And with the Foundry, we've had a discussion with them as well. But the question is whether or not the agreement, the First Source agreement regarding the Foundry, also extends or extends to the businesses that are at the Foundry. So when you think about all of those businesses at the Foundry, does the First Source agreement bind them to contact us? And so there's also been discussion about the Millennium. That's going to be a very big project that's downtown. So kind of having these relationships, and now I'd like to just kind of yield to Mr. Hayes if he'd like to say something on that business piece to be responsive to your question.
I am in a learning mode right now. I just want to tell you that it is an honor to be nominated for this board. I will offer whatever background information I have on Slate SLDC, city government, as well as county government to county. It'll be a pleasure.
That's wonderful. Welcome, Mr. Hayes.
All right, so we appreciate that, and we'll be going through the notions and obviously interacting and following the chain through the mayor's office. But we feel confident that by the time we have our next board meeting, he'll be in a seat.
Great,
Okay.
great. Connie, I just had one last question, and I think was this the last topic before we go to kind of the general public? I'm not. Oh, no, we still have more. Okay, I'll wait. I'll hold off.
Okay, all right. So down to my report. Through MUS, there's been some discussion. Other states have talked about consolidating the workforce system. Attached to the agenda is a workforce system consolidation policy. It just kind of talks about the pros and cons of doing this. I can't speak for the state of Missouri. I don't know if Miss Jerry is still on the call. I think she had to jump off.
She had to jump off.
But yeah, we're not getting any indication that Missouri is moving in this space. Other states have. So I would just leave that as informational, and those materials are attached. The Tornado Recovery Job Initiative, thank God, the contract between the state of Missouri and Slate for the $1.5 million for the disaster recovery dislocated worker grant finally was passed. We are now in the process of we have sent forth the contract for our subrecipient EDSI. So this contract is an extension of our contract that well, actually, it's a separate contract, but this time it allows us to hire 105 eligible dislocated workers to work on debris cleanup and removal and other projects associated with disaster tornado recovery. We are working closely with the Office of Tornado Recovery. Dana, our adult program manager, is over this. Pete is also running lockstep with that. We have identified job sites. We'll be working with the AmeriCorps. And Pete, fill me in. And we have started having information sessions because in order for anybody to work under this grant, they have to qualify under WIOA as a dislocated worker. This grant does expand the definition of dislocated worker. I think, I don't know how many names we had. The last time I talked to Dana, we had about 30 people signed up. So we'll also be working with Forestry Division, and we're working closely with LRA as well. So this is a good thing. We're happy, and hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll be able to report how many people are working and job sites. So
Great.
you may see some promotion about that as well.
AmeriCorps signing the paperwork right now.
Yay!
That's great.
Okay, good deal. All right. Stefan, if you scroll down to the next. Another good news, thank God again, Slate has received a $1.4 million funding from the Department of Human Services to implement a youth empowerment program. This program will allow us to hire 100 youth between the ages of 19 and 24 in the city of St. Louis, with an emphasis on those living in areas impacted by the tornado. We're going to be providing 10 weeks of WETS, job development, and exposure to career pathways. We are currently looking to expand our network of eligible work sites to support placement of participants. We have revised our form, and Savannah can let us know when it's posted, and we'll be soon posting the actual applications. This program came by another former director, Valerie Russell, who was director for Slate under, oh my gosh, Harmon, and was it Bosley and Harmon? Was it? Yeah. So she was here for 8 years. She is now the deputy director for human services. And so what happens is the Echo Devo sales tax money has a certain percentage of money dedicated to workforce. We get part of it and Human Services gets the other part. So we're hoping that this will be the beginning of a long-lasting partnership where we work with them to implement this youth empowerment program. So if any of the board members are interested in becoming a work site, you do have to go through the process and be interviewed by a job developer and identify certain roles and responsibilities that you would like to have in an intern. After that interview, we will come out to the site to just to verify that you have bricks and mortar, to look at that. We'll dot I's, cross T's, sign an agreement, and then your business can be a potential work site that we will try to align the participant interests, maybe with your corporation. We're getting some, I am making a push for city departments to be work sites. I got approached by the chief of police, Chief Tracy, last week said, Connie, I want to be a site. And I think that's outstanding. If the chief of police will place an intern in his office, that would be huge. The mayor's office, Office of Communication, has also expressed an interest. The treasurer's office, city register, recorder of deeds, and now SLDC with Mr. Hayes. So we're also engaging some smaller businesses. I had a meeting with Northwest Coffee down on Laclede. I'm going to be following up with them today. They have a great initiative. We've also been in conversation with a couple of organizations that do community or urban farming. And I had a conversation with the lady who runs, she's on the board for the Fashion Fund, but she's a designer and she has business down here. They would love to have an intern. So we want to kind of, expand the horizon because we understand this is going to be a life-changing event for somebody, some young men and some young women. And we'll be running it with our youth department here on site. And you're definitely going to be seeing and hearing advertising and promotion about this program. So we're very,
That's
very
great.
happy and grateful. This is wonderful.
Could this be possibly annually or maybe every other year? Or is this kind of a one-time?
This is a trial.
Oh, okay.
They threw a Hail Mary pass to us and we have caught it.
Great. That's great, Connie.
And we're running with it. We're running all the way down the line. So we're confident that we're going to hit this out of the park. And so that when they get the money again, that they'll say, hey, Slate, you guys did such a great job. We want you guys to continue. That's our hope.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Computer lab, another reason I've been up and down, through a partnership with the Information Technology Services Agency, also known as ITSA. We're going to have a computer lab here at Slate that will be used by City of St. Louis Department of Personnel. ITSA put up 50% of the cost for this brand new computer lab. And today we actually have people here. We had cameras in the back, but it's time to make sure things are in line because we will have a second entrance into the entrance for our suite. We're going to eliminate traffic or people walking through. And so we have a door. So the video cam people are here today. Earl, our IT guy, he has like over 100 boxes back there. We can't even find him right now. But it's our hope that this lab will be open by May. Personnel and they would like to do some type of ribbon cutting. So more information to follow. But that's another good thing for us as an agency. Seasonal hiring fairs, yes, we did. We worked with Department of Personnel to help them recruit. They had over 200 seasonal positions. We had 2 events, and over the course of those 2 different events, we had almost 300 job seekers come and participate. We've got very positive response from personnel, in particular the new department director, Brian Light. And so it's about building relationships both inside city government and outside. So the Yay team, Yay Shannon and the business services team for pulling this off. We're still collecting tornado data. Board members are encouraged to complete the survey and to promote the link. That's all I have for now. We've already shared. Oh, I do have something I need to add. It's very important. So as part of recertification and everything, our local plan, we need to renew our local plan. And in accordance with the rules, the local plan has to be posted, and we have to receive comments. So we've been working with Rochelle. We have a draft local plan that has been posted. It will be up for the next 15 days. We'll be looking for comments, and then there are some additional policies, but we will need to call a special board meeting. The board did this in 2022. They had a special board meeting just to approve the local plan. So after the 15-day period and after we've received comments, which I think is about on or about April, I think, Cassandra, did we say April 13th? We would like to have we need a short meeting of this whole body for about a 30-minute meeting to vote on and approve the local plan.
Okay, we'll be watching out for that, Connie. Thank
So
you.
Svetlana will have to, between Svetlana and Valerie, we'll have to set a meeting date so we can vote on this as part of all of our recertification.
Okay.
Connie, I would talk to Cassandra. With Cassandra, perhaps just the executive committee would be able to approve the local plan. We will continue conversation, and perhaps the whole board does not need to convene. Maybe just the
The whole
executive
board
committee.
does.
The whole
The
board.
whole board
Okay.
does.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, and
then-
Rochelle is on the call too.
Okay, then.
Yes.
Then we'll do that.
Thank you.
It requires the
Cassandra.
whole board, Svetlana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cassandra. Do I open it up now, Connie? I think for any questions maybe from the public. Do we have anyone, Svetlana?
Not on the public side, not now.
Okay. Okay. So can we adjourn now at this point, Svetlana? I want to make sure I stay on agenda.
Maybe comments from the other board members.
Okay.
The closing remarks.
Okay. Any comments? I've seen the comments in the chat, so a lot of very positive feedback. Connie, I don't know if you saw that, but a lot of positive feedback from the board.
No, I did see a question here from Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris wanted to know whether or not the youth empowerment employers need to be in the city. And we say yes for the purposes of transportation and bus line. The kids the youth need to live in the city, and there are transportation barriers. So yes, we really do need the businesses to also be in the city.
In the city. Okay.
And we will be providing supportive services to the youth as well, in terms of bus passes and other things. But the city would be, it's like the Fashion Fund. They have this giant, they have a spot here, but they also have a really big spot in Webster. But in talking to them, we need to keep it focused on the downtown
city.
location.
Oh, okay. Connie, who would the board reach out to if they're interested in becoming a work site?
What we can do is we can send the form to the board. So
Okay.
Yeah, so Svetlana, if you could send the link to all of the board members, and it's just an informational stating your interest and your contact person. And then the youth team and job developers will follow up.
Okay.
Fashion Fund. I'm making a note. Fashion Fund and Northwest Coffee. I gotta make a note for that. And then also STL TV. Our very people who are hosting our meeting, Miss Asia, will be looking to place a couple of youth over there at STL TV. Kids, people are interested in entering that field as well.
Great, great. And I need to follow up with STL TV, by the way. I haven't forgotten you. I had an emergency. So I think at this point, Connie, Svetlana, I think we can actually ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for your patience, and I think we're right on time. So a
And Ms.
motion to
Charlotte,
adjourn.
just so you know, Slate, it will be included in the workforce section for the Business Journal. We are in
Good.
there. We will,
Always. And I think my point to him was always, we should never not be involved. So that was, you know, my push to him. I don't know how we have a workforce development, you know, article is, and, you know, Slate not have a prominent role, you know, in that article.
it's budget driven. You know, it's very much budget driven.
Mm.
We did not have the funds to expend the amount that they start at. And
Oh,
um,
so I didn't realize you had to pay for that. I thought that was something that, wow.
they started asking for 25K.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was not aware of that, Connie. He
Oh,
didn't say that.
Oh,
So,
yes, that workforce is a purely 100% marketing
oh,
tool, and they have several packages with the lowest
wow.
rate starting at 25, and you have to negotiate down. And so we
Oh,
negotiated down because we can't justify spending
no,
$25,000,
no, not at all.
you know,
No,
for that. So
no.
yeah, we are able to negotiate down. We'll have a 2-page insert, but that is a heavy promotional tool and it costs.
Oh, okay. There's some unpaid, there's some other media attention, like what Shannon is doing, that I'm sure that we can get some attention to Slate that we don't have to pay for. So anyway, am I good now, Svetlana? I'm looking to Svetlana.
Yes, you are.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? And thank you all, first of all, board, for your volunteerism for this meeting.
Julie
Fickus mo-
Oh, everybody's ready. May I have a second?
Julie Fickus, second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, have a wonderful rest of your week.